112 Collective Gladiator Thor is in the DorkLair. Welcome to another DorkLair action figure review. Today we're taking a look at the Mezco 112 Collective Thor. This is from the Ragnarok movie in his gladiator outfit. And I gotta say, I think this figure is excellent. This is a really good likeness. It's just got a lot of realistic kind of details. It's obviously limited in this chest piece. Like there's articulation underneath, but you can see right off the bat, like this is a semi-hard piece and it's not going to really articulate in the chest. But other than that, I think it's fantastic. I do have a couple little nitpicks here and there with some of the accessories and some of the attachments and things like that. But in general, this is a really cool figure. I'm super excited. I got a good deal on it. Not an amazing deal. I got it for $70 shipped. And, it's an $80 figure, so anytime you can save a few bucks on one of these Mezcos is a good deal, in my opinion. This is one of the rare ones that didn't have a carton end count. So the cartons have this is carton number 275 or whatever, but it doesn't say 275 out of X. There's no X. There's no number that it's out of. So we don't really know what the production run is like. I know the Hulk was in the 7,000s, I think. So this might be up there. The highest carton I saw was, I forget the exact number, but it indicated that there's at least 5,000 of these, probably more. I would imagine there's at least as many of these as there are of the Hulk figure, but who knows? I'm not sure. So, it's hard to say what kind of market there is going to be for this one. So if you could find a decent deal, maybe scoop it up. I think it's excellent. I'm seeing more and more people kind of like grow into this figure and start to appreciate it more. I think at first a lot of people were really let down by that lack of articulation in the chest, but generally I'm seeing a lot of positive reactions to this guy. Starting off with the packaging, Thor comes in a blue box with the logo right on the front. You can see that it's a little bit of a shiny logo, and then on the side the logo again. Nothing crazy. I don't know that they have a ton of freedom to get creative with the packaging on the movie figures, but on the back you can see the accessories and so on. Another logo on the side. And this is the typical window box, so you can display them in the box if you want to. So out of the packaging, he comes with this particular head of the three heads on there. And with this head on, we'll take a look at the sculpt and paint and details, all the visual elements of this figure. And I got to say, the head sculpt is really nice. I don't know that it's a perfect likeness of Hemsworth, but I think it looks really good overall. There's a lot of good painted texture in the head, in the hair, and it's got a very sort of realistic quality to it. It's the photos might not be doing it justice in terms of the shading of the flesh, but I think it's really nice. Sometimes the figures seem kind of opaque or sort of pale or something, but this one looks pretty good. It's even got the shaved parts into the side of the head. It's like the lightning bolts over there. The eyes have a nice finish to them. They have kind of a glossiness, and they're painted well. And the beard looks really nice too. And then as you make your way down the figure, this whole chest piece is kind of like this clothing piece. It's not cloth, but it's a separate piece of armor that's sort of like a soft rubber, a semi-stiff kind of rubber material. And this strap here is a separate piece, and then I think these things are like a separate piece as well, but they're all kind of glued together. This strap does move a little bit, like you can get some movement out of it, so I think if you really wanted, you could put the sword through it on the back if you didn't want to use the sword sheaths, which are a little weird. So then the shirt underneath is fabric, and you can actually see a little bit of a detailing going there, like a plastic overlay at that point. And then you can see there's a collar too at this point here. There's sort of pleathery collar right there. And then moving down, there's some nice gold accents. The tribal paint comes down the side here. It looks really nice. I've seen pictures of some of the other Thor figures, and I kind of will take the sacrificed articulation for this beautiful chest armor piece right here. It comes down with a belt and a buckle. You have this suede piece here. That's, I don't know if it's actual suede, but it's, you know, it's kind of got that suede quality to it. It's probably fabric that's brushed. And then the pants are, they're sort of loose. They're not like a spandex kind of thing. They're kind of like real pants would be, almost like the pants on, say, Deathstroke or on Nightmare Batman, where this is very much like Nightmare Batman, where it's got these pressed on plastic knee pad type decal almost things. And then these are hard plastic armor pieces around the legs. There's so many good painted details on here. It's just really intricate and nice. Same thing over here, just without the armor plating. And those leather straps look really good. And then down to the feet. So just a really nice looking figure overall. I didn't do the arms. You can see here. This is probably one of the weakest places because of the double jointed elbows, which I welcome very much. It can look a little weird because so much of the rest of the figure is seamless. Like there's no joints really showing anywhere, but then you see this joint here. And I don't know why they choose to have the joint made of so many separate pieces like this, but it just throws the eye off a little bit. So it's nice to have him with the, in a position where the elbow is bent. And then you can see the gauntlets in the hand here. He comes with the fists on already, and we'll get to the other hands later. And finally, he's got this cape. Well, let's take a look at the back. I'll show you the back of the figure here. And the lower part of that outfit. This feels roughly the same material as the rest of the top up here. Sort of like a stiffer rubber. Drier, stiffer kind of rubber. And then the cape is very thin. It sort of reminds me of like a Superman cape or something. And it's pinned at the top here, and then it's pinned over on the side here to give it a bit of a drape to it. And then it's weathered at the bottom. Like it's all kind of purposefully frayed. But it's also got an edge to it. Like I feel like they sealed that edge with something. I don't know what. Maybe they dipped it slightly in like some kind of like sealant or plastic or paint or something. Because I can feel a little edge when I touch that, as if it's not going to just continue to fray. So that's a nice touch. But probably looks-wise, this is one of the better figures, and I'm starting to really, after that Spider-Man, now this, I'm getting really into the MCU stuff, and I kind of told myself I wasn't going to get too much into that, but I love the look of this. The only problem with the look are those elbows. And to compare them to some other figures, like I just mentioned, here's the MCU Spider-Man from Homecoming with the homemade suit on. Same thing from Mezco, and I think it looks pretty good. I think maybe Thor is probably taller, a little bit taller than that in the movies, and even in the comics he's supposed to be pretty big. So I think he might be a little bit on the short side, but I like it. I'm not a stickler for height really. Next to the Iron Man, he does come off a little short. So I think but this is a comic Iron Man. If they did a comic Thor, it would probably be on the bigger Mezco body. So I still like it. You get them flying or jumping or posing, and it's not really going to make much of a difference. And then, because he's a gladiator, let's take a look at Thor next to this orc gladiator from the Mythic Legion's Colosseum wave, and Romulus in an action pose, so you can get a sense of size and scale to some of these other gladiator figures that are out there. Awesome figure. Get your hands on some of those Colosseum wave figures if you can. I think he scales well. Like he's a little bit smaller, but I could see him in an arena fighting these guys off. For accessories, he comes with 3 heads. This is the second head, and this has like the thunder eyes. Very similar sculpt, but just with a blue eyes look to it. He also comes with the gladiator head, helmeted head, with the war paint on there, and you can see the sides of the helmet swing up so that he can get ready for battle. Another nice looking head. The facial expression on this one is, I think it's a little more stern. I do wish one of the three heads, so here's the other two. You can see they're very similar. And I kind of do wish one of the heads was like screaming or smiling or doing something else, because they're all very similar in tone, I guess, of the facial expression. And he comes with a battle mace. I kind of treat this almost like this is his hammer here in this mode. It's actually done really well. Nicely weathered. Looks like metal. Kind of looks like a screwdriver. This is the mace he uses when he's fighting Hulk. Really nice. And then the other piece to that scene is the shield, which looks good, but it's kind of finicky. It's kind of a pain in the butt. It's got these that wrap around the arms. That's easy. That makes sense. But then this thing is like pegged in over here, and it doesn't stay pegged in very well. So there's a peg up here and a peg down there. It's just a very loose fit, and it can be a pain in the butt to position in his hands, and then it comes off and it falls off. So that's kind of a bummer. Like, I'm kind of annoyed with this shield. I don't really like messing with it too much. It's a pain in the butt, but it looks pretty good. He comes with two grabbing hands for holding the weapons and two open hands that are slightly different style of open hand. One seems like it's clawing, and then one seems like it's just kind of open. Like, this feels like summoning the thunder, and then this is like more clawing or grasping at something. Speaking of the lightning, it's a nice effect piece, and it has one of the sides. You can see it's got like access, so you can flex it around his arm or maybe around his sword or however you want to set that up. It's really nice. I like the look of this thing. It's really cool. This is one of my favorite accessories that he comes with, and I'll be posing him mostly with this and the swords, which look really nice. These are pretty cool. They almost look like they're glowing. Detail on there, nice crisp sculpt, some weathering, some black, and then you have a nice shiny gold handle. So really cool. I like the swords a lot. I'm going to be posing them with those. And then in almost an SH Figure Arts type of accessory move, Mezco has bundled him with a just solid piece, sword and sheath to go on his back. And that will peg into his back, and I'll do that in a second. And then he comes with one more that looks like it's, he took the swords out and they're, this is just the empty sheaths. I have heard some people, I know my friend Jared was having some problems with his staying in. Mine doesn't fall out per se, but it's not like the stablest. It's not like the most secure thing, but it looks pretty good. Looks decent. But it's a very SH Figure Arts kind of thing to do, to rather than have sort of functional sheaths or anything. It's got the two separate pieces for the two separate options. So I mean, he's pretty loaded with accessories. I think he's got a lot of options for display, and let's not forget about the 5-inch standard Mezco stand, along with the arm to go on it. Articulation, starting with the head. Thor can look back this far and then up that far. And you just got to kind of watch out, because it's not really an issue or anything, but the neck doesn't exactly pop on. There's no like snap when you pop the neck on. It just kind of smoothly comes off. So if you keep pushing the neck back, it's going to slowly just come off. You can see it coming off right there. So, it's just not an issue. In fact, I kind of like it because it gives me a little extra, without completely popping it off, a little extra if I need it. So kind of up that far, and then he'll look down that far. And the head and the neck are, even though the neck is attached, it's two separate pieces. So you can see it right here. So it's nice. It's not like Spock where it's just one solid piece. So he can tilt his head nicely side to side and turn and rotate and all that stuff. So pretty expressive figure in terms of the neck articulation. Up in the shoulders, there's a little bit of a butterfly joint, but I would say it's not exactly functional. A lot of Mezcos have that much movement, but it doesn't really equate to a lot of functional range, so I don't know if I would consider that a point of articulation, really. The shoulder can rotate up this far, and I have this weird like little tab of plastic there. I need to get my little snips and snip that off, I think. But just something I notice when I rotate the arm up. And then there is a bicep swivel on this side that works well. And I believe, when I look underneath, I believe there's a bicep swivel on this side, but it doesn't function. Mine just won't swivel. I can't get that to swivel right there. Like if I hold the shoulder stiff and then try to get this to swivel, it just doesn't happen. So I don't know, maybe I can apply some heat, but I haven't been able to get that to move yet. The arms do rotate pretty much all the way around if you need them to. And the elbows have double joints, and you can get this far, which is pretty decent if you ask me. And then there's no swivel down here, but the wrist goes all the way around and hinges as well. So lots of good motion in the wrist. There is some articulation in the chest. Like I can feel it a little bit when I do this. I can kind of feel it creaking inside, like moving a little bit. But and I'm sure it has the typical chest articulation, but it doesn't really move. You can't really get it to stay in any sort of crunch pose because that's such a stiff armor piece. So that's probably the weakest point, is that he can't crunch at all. So if you need your Thor to crunch, this is not going to be the Thor for you. You just can't go very far. He can rotate at the waist too a tiny bit for certain poses if you need him to be slightly to the side. But again, the armors are getting in the way of that. The leg can kick up this far, and then it can kick back this far. And he can get out pretty decent into the splits, that amount. His feet aren't going to rotate enough to go flat-footed in that position, though. And then he's got like a lot of the figures, he's got an upper thigh swivel, and then his knees are also double jointed. Come back this far, and at the ankles, there's a little bit of a side-to-side rocker. And then they can rock back and forth, and they can rotate a little bit. Obviously, this one's going to have more range because there's no armor there. But decent amount. If you mess with it, like he can get pretty good, but this side's not going to match because the armor gets in the way. So, he can get out pretty good with that left leg. So yeah, the chest limitation, and then the fact that this bicep doesn't swivel, I can't bring his arm across this way. Like I can't hinge it that way like I can with this one. So if I want to bring this one across, I can, because that bicep swivels. I cannot do it with this one. I can't get that thing to rotate over there. So that's a little bit of a letdown in the articulation, but hopefully I can heat that up. I just haven't had a chance to try that yet, and we'll see if I can get that joint moving. I'm pretty sure it's there. When I look at it inside there, it seems like under this strap that it seems like there's one there. Overall, I'm very happy with the $70 I spent on this figure. I think it's a pretty awesome figure. It's limited in articulation, but generally a lot of fun with tons of accessories and really neat options. And then the finish on it is amazing. This armor piece and the head sculpts, and it just looks great. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to check out my other videos, like my review of the Mezco 112 Collective Homemade Suit Spider-Man, as well as links in the description below to the DorkLair Collecting Podcast and my social media accounts. Until next time, may the Force be with you. DorkLair!